So I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is my tripod's here. Yay! So the bad news is I don't think it likes the case that my phone is in. So I hope it's not gonna like snap it out, because it seems like it's trying to do that. The other bad news is Facebook Live's been really weird. Like, I kept trying to connect with Facebook Live and it wouldn't let me. So I'm just going to record this video, upload it to YouTube, and then post a link for that. So Tracy, you were asking me about some chopping tools, veggie prep and that kind of stuff, which is something that's near and dear to my heart. I don't eat meat, so I do a lot of veggies, and veggie prep sometimes is a pain. So to answer the question, what's the one tool you could use for all those? That's kind of hard, because all of those items that you listed, like olives and carrots, are complete opposites in how you chop them, and so in their density and their size and their shape. So it's kind of hard to say that there's a one tool that will chop everything. But I do have tools that have multiple purposes. So I'm going to show you some of them. I'm missing my food chopper. Like, I know all of y'all know about the food chopper, the one that's been around forever. I can't find it. So I'm going to make do without that one. So the recipe that I'm making is a roasted, oh, I need to turn my broiler on, is a roasted vegetable soup. And I had never even seen this recipe before. I just started looking on the website. So I'll post the link to this soup also on the page. So if you guys are interested, you can have this recipe. But what we're going to do first is we're going to broil a couple of vegetables. That's going to be how we're going to roast them, is under the broiler. So I've got two vegetables I'm going to broil, and one of them is a red pepper and one of them is an onion. So it's calling for those to be chopped in 2-inch pieces, because they're eventually going to go in the blender. So they don't have to be exactly uniform or pretty or anything like that. So I've got a couple of things that I want to show you. First is the veggie wedger. And veggie wedger, it's fun to say, veggie wedger. So when I first saw this, this was another one of those things that I saw and thought, you know, I can't really imagine that I need that. I'm not sure why anybody would use that. But I do use it a lot, and particularly for this kind of thing, if I just want chunks of something. So especially if I'm doing multiple pieces. Quite honestly, if I were going to do just one onion, I probably would just use my knife, because I've got really good knives. That's another subject. But if you've got really good knives and you're just going to do one thing, it's probably easier just to get out a knife and a cutting board and do one thing. If you're doing multiple items, this thing is a lifesaver. So, like, I'm going to put this onion in here and I'm going to wedge it. And now I've got my pieces that are perfect to go on here. I'm just going to kind of break them apart a little bit so that they can roast. All right. So that saved me, you know, a bit of time, especially if I was going to be doing a bunch of these. All right. I also will use my veggie wedger if I'm going to chop them smaller in my manual food processor, and I'm going to show you that in a few minutes too. So if I'm chopping things smaller, you can't put a whole onion in the manual food processor. So I will wedge whatever I'm going to cut, and then I'll put it in my manual food processor to chop it more fine. The other thing I'm chopping is a red onion. Now, we have a handy dandy tool called the Scoop Loop, which you can go in and scoop out the inside of your peppers. I said onion, I meant to say pepper. So you can scoop out your peppers with that. It's also great for scooping out cantaloupe. I use it to core out like cucumbers. If I'm going to do like a cucumber boat or a zucchini boat, I'll core those out, and I love it. But if all I'm doing is using the outside and I'm not using the whole thing, like if I'm doing roasted red peppers, of course I want to keep that pepper intact. But if I'm just using the outside anyway, here's what I do. I cut the top off so it's flat. I turn it upside down like that, and I just cut around the outside. So now I'm just cutting around that core, and I got all the part that I want right there anyway. Okay, so these pieces are also just going to go on here to be roasted. So I'm just making them in manageable sizes, and I want to put those skin side up because that's the side that I really want to get roasted. All right, now this pan that I'm using is our Rock Crock Grill Stone. And the Rock Crock Grill Stone is new. It just came out last year. So a Rock Crock is the one that goes everywhere. It's stoneware, but then it's got this glazed coating. It's this ceramic glazed coating that goes over the stoneware. So it performs like stoneware in that it cooks evenly. All the things we love about stoneware, it cooks evenly and it retains heat, so it's really good for, you know, serving off of and all that. But because it's got this coating, it's more durable and more tolerant of those extreme temperature changes. So like you can't put your regular stoneware on the stovetop. Well, the Rock Crock can go on the stovetop. It can go under the broiler. It's even safe on the grill. And because of that that coating, it's also safe in the dishwasher. So that's another thing that's like a deal breaker for a lot of people if it can't go in the dishwasher. So this does all that. So this is actually it's a pizza stone, and it's designed for you to be able to grill pizza on the grill. But I use it all the time in my oven and everywhere. There's this great recipe for grilled nachos, and I'll use it in my oven. I just put the oven, on when you're normally baking, it's the bottom burner that's on. So I'll put the rack on the very bottom, turn the temperature way up to like 475, and then I put my Rock Crock stone on that very bottom rack just over the element, so it's like I'm grilling. So I do that sometimes in the oven instead of standing outside in the heat. Not so bad today. It's in the low 90s and the temperature and the humidity is not quite as bad, but throughout the summer when it's been 98 degrees with 97% humidity and I'm swatting mosquitoes, no thanks, not interested. So anyway, so the Rock Crock grill stone is what we're using. It's also safe under the broiler, so that's what we're going to do with it. It wants us to spray with a little bit of oil. So I try really hard not to buy the sprays that are in the aerosol cans because they have propellants and other ingredients which will leave a residue on your stoneware. So I do recommend our spritzer. I always store it with the lid loose, so that way it's kind of deflated. So I have to tighten the lid and then inflate the air into it. There's a little spout here, and then I'm just going to spray. So all I've got in here is olive oil. You can use canola oil, you can use vegetable oil, you can use whatever kind of oil that you want to use. You could do infused oils. If I wanted to, I could put a couple of cloves of garlic in there and have garlic infused oil as well. So that, I'm just going to wait for my oven to let me know that that is hot. And then while that's doing, it wants me to dice a potato and a zucchini into 1/2-inch cubes. So this is where I would have probably used my food chopper for the potato. But because I don't have the food chopper, because I don't know where it is, I'm going to try doing this in my manual food processor. I'll be honest, I've never done potatoes in the manual food processor, but I feel like it's going to work. But I'm also going to wedge it first, just like I talked about. So I'm going to cut this potato in half, because this is a really big potato. And I'm going to wedge it. This is also great for like oranges, if you want to do orange wedges. I've got a friend who does this for her kids. She will send her kids to school with an orange that she's already wedged, and then she puts a rubber band around it, and then it goes in their lunchbox like that. Alright, so let me process this. The manual food processor is exactly that. It's a food processor, but it's manual, so it's no power, it's really small. I'm not sure that I think the potatoes are going to be too hard. So I would use the food chopper for that if I had my food chopper. Since I don't have my food chopper, I'm just going to use my knife. So speaking of knives, I said if you didn't have good knives, you need good knives. And people a lot of times ask me for my opinion on the one thing they should get. And I always tell them, if you don't have good knives, that should be your first purchase. So a good set of knives will absolutely make the biggest difference in your satisfaction in the kitchen, particularly with food prep. So the Pampered Chef, of course, has a set of knives. Our knives are forged cutlery knives, are lifetime warranty, so you can feel safe that you're buying a good quality product. Look at this. I would have cut these completely different if I'd known I was going to be doing them. I wouldn't have used the wedger. But yeah, they're forged, which means they're not pounded steel. They're full tang, which means the blade goes all the way from the tip to the handle. It's all one piece, so you don't end up with blade in one hand and handle in the other. Alright. So the food chopper is the manual food processor is awesome for, I use it all the time for onions. If I'm doing a bunch of onions, I do peppers in it. I make salsa, so I use it for tomatoes. It also blends while it's chopping, so it's really good for things like salsa, guacamole, things that you're going to blend together. There's Crash on the floor. The last video I did, I stepped on him, so I'm going to try real hard not to do that this time. All right, let me find something to put those. Just throw these potatoes on this plate here to get them out of the way, since I didn't get anything out for them. And then I want to show you just one other chopping tool. This is the Quick Slice, and this thing is brand new also. It just came out last spring. So the Quick Slice is kind of like our Egg Slicer Plus for any of you who are familiar with that. So it's got, of course, the base, and then it's got this with the blades that goes down in there. So you can slice a whole bunch of stuff all at one time. So like for this zucchini, I want these in smaller pieces. So I'm going to just prepare it like this. Because this is going in soup, so I don't want big pieces, I want little pieces, right? And then I can put 2 pieces on here at a time. And do all that at once. This is perfect for, like if you do a bunch of eggs, you want sliced eggs in your salad, you could do 3 or 4 eggs at a time. Mushrooms, you can go through a whole bunch of sliced mushrooms in no time. It's perfect for strawberries. Oh my gosh, when it's strawberry season, this thing makes short work strawberries. I did a whole, I went and picked up a whole gallon of strawberries at one of the local farms and sliced them all up and had them in the freezer ready to go for all my smoothies. Of course, I ate a bunch of them on the way home. Alright, so look how quickly I just did that. So imagine that with cucumbers for your salad. Alright, so this thing is like really, really quick. So I will post a couple of other videos that the Pampered Chef has of these products so you can see them using them for other things. And then before we go, I can't believe that's still not preheated yet. I want to show you just one other product. Our can opener. So for those of you who aren't familiar, and I know this isn't a chopping tool, but for those of you who aren't familiar with our can opener is like world renowned. Everybody knows our can opener. It's one of the favorites. So it doesn't have a blade. It doesn't cut through the lid. What it does is as you turn the handle, see those 2 round pieces? It brings them together. So it kind of locks on to the side of the can as you're going around. And what it's going to do is it's going to remove the glue from the lid rather than cutting through the lid. So it's going to just remove that top. So as I go around on the top like this, once you get through, you can feel it. It kind of gives. And then you turn it back about a 1/4 turn and that makes it let go. And then these little things right here are how you're going to pull it off, and that is what closes the pinchers. So you just pinch it and then roll it forward and it just removes that lid. I don't have sharp edges here and I don't have sharp edges here because we didn't cut the metal. So that is like one of our very most popular products ever is our can opener. Something that I just discovered recently that I hadn't even noticed before was this little piece on the side, which is, now you could still use this can opener and remove the lid from this one, but if you want to, you can totally just use this one to get underneath that like that, and then flip it this way. So those that you're sometimes trying to like not break your nail to get that open, I just did that without having to do that. So I'm going to post this recipe so you guys can see it. I think I've done all the fun stuff that you guys would be interested in seeing anyway. So I'm going to go and finish up this soup because I think I'm going to have it before I go do the things I got to do this evening. And you guys have a great day. I will get this uploaded on YouTube and then get this posted. I'm going to post the link to the recipe and I'll try to find some other links to videos of these chopping tools that I just showed you. Y'all have a good day. Talk to you later.